Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me on my video. I appreciate you watching. Today is June 15th, 2017. Yesterday, June 14th, was Flag Day, and there's also, coincidentally, Donald Trump's birthday, and that was overshadowed. I really thought that would get more press, and maybe it did, and I just didn't see it, but yesterday was not a good day for Americans because there was two different shooting incidents that took place. One was in California. A disgruntled UPS driver, went into his package delivery warehouse and opened fire. I think he killed 3 or 4 people. And then in Virginia, Donald Trump hater, he opened fire with a rifle on a bunch of Republican congressmen who were practicing for an annual congressional ball game that was supposed to take place this Saturday. And I think it's still scheduled to. And I didn't hear about anybody actually being killed, but someone is in critical condition. One of the Republicans is in critical condition. So this is one of those incidences where both of these are incidences where we could describe people as running amok. And so I wanted to tell you where we get that expression from. You know, whenever we say that, we know we're talking about some craziness going on. It's frenetic behavior, chaos, riotous behavior. And usually we know that there's violence implied and all of that. But not necessarily, I guess it depends on how you say it. It's become so cliche that people don't even think about what it means, and they just say it for a lot of things. But nevertheless, it's just craziness. We know it's craziness. But where does it come from? Well, I guess in Malaysia, when people over there would smoke opium, or any other kind of stimulant, they would become overexcited and they would go into the streets with daggers and randomly just start stabbing people and yelling amok, amok, which means kill, kill. And I don't know if that still goes on. I don't know if that's an ongoing problem, but apparently at one time it was, or over a period of time. But amok literally means kill. So they would yell amok, amok while they would be stabbing people, and it was just random people. It was just people were not selected. It was just whoever they happened to chance upon, and that's where we get run amok from. And I find the two incidences that took place yesterday are pretty disturbing, because just like the people who are overstimulated by whatever they're taking in, you can't see that coming. And it could be you. And I guarantee you, just like a car accident, nobody thinks it's going to be them. You go out to play a ball game. You're expecting to have fun, go home at the end of the day, see your family, kiss your wife and your kids. And this happens. People show up to work, and they just do what they do, and it's intended for you not to see it coming. I remember the first time I heard of a mass shooting that really affected me, and that was back in 1984, when I believe his name was James Hubert. 41-year-old man walked into a San Diego, California McDonald's, and he shot up the place. He walked in with a shotgun, an Uzi, and a 9mm Browning automatic pistol, and killed 21 people and injured many others. And this took place over 78 minutes. That's a long time. And if you read up on the story, I'm going to warn you, it's very graphic. It's just horrifying. I read about it again last night just to get a recap, and I was afraid I wouldn't be able to sleep, because he had told his wife, like the day prior, to going to that McDonald's and shooting up that I think I have a mental problem. He called a mental health facility. He gave him his name, said he wanted someone to call him back, but apparently he was very calm, and they did not sense any kind of urgency. So they weren't quick to get back a hold of him, and I think they might have attempted anyway, but they wrote down the wrong name. Somebody wrote down the wrong name. They misunderstood. They never called him back. He took this personally and said, well, the world has had its chance. And he had done a few things with his family, things that a family man does. He went back home. His wife was laying in bed. He kissed her goodnight and said, I just wanted to say goodbye. I think he might have told her he was never going to see her again. I think he might have kissed his kids goodbye and said the same thing. And then he put in a checkered, I think it was a checkered cloth. He put his weapons and walked into this McDonald's, and it's just horrifying. I remember when it happened, like, they ended up calling it the Big Mac attack. And not to be funny, there was nothing funny about it. I mean, he did not discriminate who he pulled the trigger on. And I was really bothered by it at the time because I was 14 years old. And my mother and my two older brothers worked at McDonald's during that time, and when we were in Texas. And my two older brothers in high school, my mother was the manager there. And I remember thinking that could happen. That could happen to them. And I don't know how he walked in. I mean, I know he had his weapons in a cloth, but I don't know if any, at that time, I remember people thinking that he walked in overtly brandishing his weapons. And and it still kind of sounds that way. He pointed his gun at the first person that he pointed his gun at. He pulled the trigger and it didn't go off. It just clicked. And the female manager, thought it was some kind of a joke, a distasteful joke, and she just walked away. And the melee ensued. And the cops got called. They got dispatched to the wrong McDonald's initially. Then they got sent to the right one. But this went on for 78 minutes. Eventually, a SWAT sniper took him out. But it really, really bothered me at that time. And you know what? When I read about it again last night, it bothered me again. Because this is happening. This is happening all the time. And I don't know really where I want to go with this in this video. But I do want to say that, I don't know. I'm not sure what kind of takeaway I'm supposed to be giving you here. I'm just kind of venting my spleen here. Kind of sharing with you where Run Amok comes from. But I'll tell you what, I am bothered by it. I know that one of the questions that people asked in their mind during that time was, didn't they see him walking in with his weapons? I don't know. I don't know if they did or not. I know that a lot of people took cover under a table. Fathers and mothers shielded their kids. And I know they did that. I know they took that kind of action. They didn't just sit there and wait for him to come up and shoot him. I mean, he did do that, but I guess, it made such an impact on me at that time that ever since then, ever since I've been 14 years old, whenever I go into a restaurant, I never have my back to the door. I always like to have my back to the wall so I can see what's coming. Because if I see a guy coming in with a gun, I want to know. I always, it's been a lifelong habit for me since then, that when I'm sitting in a restaurant, I watch people coming into the restaurant. That's how much it affected me. I watch people coming into a restaurant. I watch people at a mall. When I'm in church, I watch people. It impacted me that much. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to say to you. Is watch yourself. And think about a way out. Always have an escape plan. And I don't want to sound like a crazy person. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theory person, because those people do sound crazy. And that's not what I'm doing. But but these things do happen. These aren't just conspiracies. These aren't just things that happen in a vacuum. These are happening more and more all the time. Always be looking for a way out. Always. Be prepared. Be prepared to sacrifice your life for the people around you, or at least for your family, your children, the people that you love. They're there with you. Another thing is always look for what you can use for as a weapon. A broken piece of glass, anything you could throw. I think about that all the time. If I was in a restaurant, as a field service worker, I go into people's yards and I'm always on the lookout for vicious dogs. I'm always looking for a way out, and I'm always looking for a weapon I can grab really quick. I can make a weapon out of anything. In my mind, at least, I can make a weapon out of anything. A garden hose, a rake, a lawn chair, and that's how I think. But I do that everywhere because of that one incident in 1984. It affected me that much. And so watch your surroundings. Watch the people coming and going. Always look for an escape route. You know, you've got to be vigilant. You've got to be vigilant, especially these days. Walking down the street, always looking for a way out. You know, watch people. Size them up. Because they're probably sizing you up. And I don't mean to sound paranoid, but you know, that's just the way it is these days, man. And I'm sorry to say that. You don't want to spend your life in paranoia. You don't want to spend your life so hyper vigilant that you can't enjoy what's going on around you. But to some degree, you must be aware. You must be vigilant. You have to keep your eyes open. And, you know, not everybody can learn how to fight with their hands. And not everybody has that time. Even if you could, you know, you get to an age where your body starts to betray you anyway. And it's just, you know, and you may not even have that option anyway, even if you knew anything really what I'm saying is try to be versatile. Know something. Learn something. Whether it's how to fire a gun, fight with your hands, or just how to think, be kind of MacGyverish, you know, where you think to yourself, I could grab this or I could grab that. Think of a way to fight back somehow, even if you don't think you're going to succeed. But, man, I tell you what, people do run amok. They are overstimulated in some way. This man in Texas was, I don't know, he knew he had a mental problem, didn't get help as fast as he thought he should get it. Killed a lot of people. The two men yesterday, one was disgruntled. Well, the other one was disgruntled too. But one was a disgruntled employee. Another one just hated Republicans, and he hated Donald Trump. Imagine that. I mean, my goodness. So, you know, I hate to repeat myself, but where were you? You know, where were you when you heard about the first time that, where were you the first time you heard something that disturbed you so much like that it made a difference? I remember where I was when the 9/11 incident occurred. I was out reading meters, and someone, you know, said, "Come here, you got to see this on the television." One of the customers, he told me to come in. He stepped inside his door where the TV was right there, and he said, "Look what just happened." And it was unreal. It was unreal. It turned out to be much bigger than I thought it was initially. But you know, it's not just terrorists. There's just crazy people out there. I mean, terrorists are crazy. Don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of people that don't fall into the category of some kind of radical that you might work with, that you might rub elbows with in some way or another. Just be aware. Always look for a way out. Look for a weapon. And watch other people. You know, if you have to, keep your back to the wall whenever you go in someplace. But that's what I have today. That's my little monologue. I don't mean to sound so morose, but I figured I'd make my remarks on it since it just happened, and I was wanting to talk about where the word amok comes from anyway. So there you have it. I hope that wasn't too depressing, and I hope you have a safe and happy day. All right, guys. Stay safe. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.